It has been almost a year since the release of Old Tales, a story that fills in the other spot next to Overzone as one of the greatest pieces of fiction written in Nikke. It featured characters that we now all love and adore, one in particular being extremely popular despite her months-long hiatus. The Syndicate is on a mass blue ball streak right now, and I'm getting a little worried. They might explode here soon. I'm doing okay. I'm playing this game called Azure Lake. Old Tales was built upon hype that was established a year prior. The introduction of Cinderella during Red Ash solidified her presence as a potential newcomer in Commander's harem, and we were right. The majority of the player base was not surprised when she was revealed to be the main anniversary unit, almost as if it was rightfully hers for that entire year. At the same time, we all had high hopes for the story, but something akin to Red Ash, a story mainly used to dump composition on us and throw a couple tearjerkers here and there to explain Red Hood's demise. Red Ash was good, just not Overzone good. Why was that? Was it because Red Hood's character was harder to relate to compared to Dorothy? Maybe the anime trope of extreme willpower to keep the corruption at bay simply wasn't as believable as the agonizing loss of Dorothy's comrades, one after another, until finally she lost herself. Sorry last week's video was so sentimental, it's seeping its way into here. Regardless, that's what we expected for second anniversary. Overzone was peak, which meant it was all downhill from there, right? Oh, we were wrong. Like, very wrong. Old Tales obliterated us. From the get-go, we knew something wasn't right. The stage was set for absolute depression. There they were, a brand new squad developed by a solo genius researcher meant to be the successor to the goddesses, the most powerful squad in existence. A team of amateurs, experimentals, over-the-top thick, her leg is the size of my torso, Nikkes that had a lot bearing down on their shoulders. For many moons, they waited to receive orders from the government to be allowed to fight alongside humanity just like their peers. But that time never came. Over and over, permissions were denied. They were all just reluctantly sitting there in the middle of a war, just on standby. It didn't faze Cinderella though. Out of the squad, she had the highest combat prowess, and most importantly, the highest spirit. For the existence of the Old Tales squad was more than a family to her. It was the closest she could get to fulfill her wish to fight alongside the goddesses. And of course, you know what happens from there. Cinderella gets permission alone to fight on the battlefield, but right before she leaves, everything falls apart. One of the most memorable but gruesome scenes is what she did to Siren's jaw. The Siren we now know as an absolute angel had her only way of standing a chance shattered into a gushing mess. Cinderella, locked in her consciousness, could only sit and watch as this and other horrific scenes unfolded. And that was just the first part of Old Tales. We won't cover the mental and physical torture Cinderella had to endure for months on end, or the understandable rejection of her comrades, or the outright betrayal of this dog-water bitch that my community keeps rage-baiting me with, or even the long, harrowing sacrifice of Abe. There's just so much that happened in these chapters that it's categorically incredible that they were able to tell so much with so little. Yeah, that's exactly why we considered Old Tales a masterclass of storytelling, just like Overzone. Yeah, not everything was amazing, especially how Red Shoes' arc felt a little too rushed, but overall the story was another game changer. It also marked the beginning of the Syndicate. Fast forward to present day. We are now 40 chapters deep in the story, a place where I expect half the player base has not been able to catch up because of the intense prowess requirement, with recent events suggesting that certain characters that were introduced or reintroduced in Chapter 40 were basically confirmed to be the anniversary units. It makes me a bit worried. But they did this before with Overzone and Red Ash, and like I stated already, there were no issues. And yet, those were different times when we didn't have 40 chapters to read. The more chapters we have, the harder it is for new players to be excited about new events like the vets are, because they're not even close to knowing what's going on. I understand this is the case for many gachas, but Nikke actually has a good story, and there's no skip half the chapters button. Unlike some modern gachas where their 1.0 story was so dogshit that they're perfectly fine with new players skipping the entire thing to get to the good stuff, Nikke's first few chapters cannot and should not be missed. It is literally home to the most important chapters of the entire game. For now, I don't see the devs implementing a skip button for at least another year or ever, but I imagine when we hit 50 chapters or 60, at that point I need to reevaluate my career, let's be real. And you're right, there's no need to throw shade at other shitty gachas. Our concern today is figuring out whether or not people will be excited for 3rd anniversary as equally or more than 2nd. So, here's the short answer. They're not. And they won't be. That doesn't mean they're not excited though. New players may not understand fully the context of the alleged anniversary characters that I can't tell you about for legal reasons, but to vets, oh, my beautiful veterans of the game who have stuck around since the beginning or at least Overzone, we might have something immaculate on our plates. New players can't have much connection to the alleged units since they don't know anything. So Shift Up will be heavily dependent upon typical lewd factors when they market the event. I don't think I need to say this, but I will anyway to make myself look good. New players are exceedingly important to the health of the game. That being said, it's a totally different game for those who are completely caught up. There is going to be some serious lore drops because of how, especially one character shouldn't be a playable unit. Not yet. What kind of resist sorcery did the commander pull off to convert this character to our side? And we're talking after the fact that we just threw hands. But even so, do you think they'll be able to conjure up a sob story that's better than old tales? Is there any hope in capturing the magic depression of Overzone? Or will we just be jerking it to ass cheeks the entire time? Did chapters 30 through 38 drag out for a bit too long? That's a common criticism I hear. After the climax of saving Cinderella, and I do mean that climax, didn't it feel like we were just waiting for things to happen and it ended up taking way longer than expected? Before chapter 39, it certainly felt that way, that they were taking their sweet time to pad on some extra fluff before the big reveal, which has yet to happen. Now comes the portion of the video in which I throw you a bone to chew on. There is a good chance, a solid chance that these guys have what it takes to blow it all out of the water. I mean, talk about premature ejaculation. I might be sinking my teeth into the banana while it's still green. There are not enough reasons to believe that the Annie story will be a stinker. Indeed, Siren's story was emotionally exceptional but cracked at the roots. On the other hand, the most recent chapters felt really good. I know Anis's idol arc is in contention, but as a whole, there was so much that happened all at once that it felt like going on a date with two hot lesbians. It was a relief to see old faces that we thought would never return, to finally meet the character that was teased so long ago, to have something so drastic happen to the commander that they brought out the old white text on black screen ending. Have they been saving their carnal energy all this time since 2nd anniversary? Have they given the script to the Tolkien equivalent of South Korea? Whatever happens in a few weeks, just know that I will be dropping 60 whole ass dollars on one of the gacha skins because I feel like I have an obligation to waste money on 3-second animations. I think that's everything. Thanks for watching. I love my patrons and members so much that I made an outro specifically for them that 95% of viewers don't even watch. Still, thank you for your continuous support. I've been getting more requests lately to make a Discord channel, but I'm just being totally honest. It scares me. I don't know if someone as withdrawn as myself can handle a daycare of not babies, but a bunch of gooners. Who knows? I'll give it some more thought. Goodbye.